Alright, hey, today I'm going to show you how to create a secure kill switch design in Rust to close all your doors. Real quick, I'll show you an example of it. So, here the way this works is you want a switch that maybe closes all your doors, maybe when you're getting off for the night, or if you suddenly start getting raided, you want to close everything, just so that way you can keep everything open the rest of the time. Now you want to switch. The problem with just having a switch that controls the doors is that if raiders happen to get right to it, then they could just hit the switch and then everything's open right for them. So obviously you don't want just a direct switch for the doors. So the way we do that is we have 3 different separate switches that all need to be activated before the switch can be activated. So that means that to be able to get to that, raiders would have to go and invade all these different 3 parts of your base. And if you want, you could put them in the most secure spots, so at that point there's nothing left to lose. So it makes your base as secure as possible while giving you this convenience. So the way this works in action is we go and we have to hit each switch individually. You notice that these memory cells turn green, and now the switch is armed, so if these doors are already open, then what happens, we just hit the switch and then everything closes down automatically. Now you see there's no option for me to hit the switch again. Now, if you arm everything, and then you hit the switch while doors are closed, they will open up, but then they'll close down back immediately as soon as possible. So this probably won't cause any problems for you. If anything, it might even trap people inside. Could cause an issue. That's one small flaw of it. I guess the actual way to circumvent that flaw is to have your doors open the rest of the time, but there's ways to work around it. So now let's look at how to actually design this with a small example. So right here we've got 2 garage doors. Now you want your door controllers paired to the garage doors, and the way you do that is you want to make sure it has a lock on it and it's unlocked. It has to be unlocked. This is to prevent somebody who gets building privilege from being able to open all your doors this easily. And then you just put on a door controller somewhere near it, and then while it's unlocked you press pair, you press E, and then it'll be paired to the door, and then you can lock it. Alright, so now what we do is we want to set up our basic power supply. You'll have any kind of power. Alright, so first you get a power source. In this case we're putting the generator, but really we could use whatever power you have from your setup. Now the first thing we're going to make is the remote part that you have to switch. So we need a timer, we need a memory cell, and we need a branch. A splitter can work here, but branches can be good because they can control how much power you split off. Otherwise they can effectively do the same thing as a splitter, but whichever is up to you. If you have enough power to spare, it doesn't really matter. So we hook up the branch out to the timer's input, and we hook up the timer's output to the set of the memory cell, and we put the other output of this power into the power in of the memory cell. All this does is distribute power partially to the timer and partially to the memory cell, and then you'll hook up power to the splitter. Now if you have multiple switches like I did in my example, then you'll want to split up this power, and you want to split the power between the different branches. But the only power that has to be put into this whole circuit goes directly into these switches' branches. So once this is powered, you want to set the timer of this to just 1 second. The time doesn't really matter. All it's useful for is turning itself on and off. A normal switch could work here, but you flip it on and off, but might as well do a timer so it does it for you. Now what this does is once you activate the timer, it will set this bottom light to green. That means the memory cell is set to 1 as opposed to 0. So what we know now is we want to hook up these different doors. So what we do here is we'll put another timer, and then what we want is, currently when I was trying this, I couldn't put the output of the memory cell to the brew combiner. That might be because it somehow breaks the game, so they remove that functionality. I don't know, but we can get the same functionality with an AND switch. Now in this particular design, because there's only one, we don't need an AND switch, but you'll need multiple AND switches for each one of these switches that you set up. So if we had 2, then we would need a whole AND switch. You know what, let's go do another one. put right there, put that right there, and we put there. I'm not doing very neat. You can make it neat if you want. So now, that means we'll need, let's go get a splitter here. So, we'll set one of the output splitters down to there, and we'll set the other one right there. So now we've got these both set. Now what we want to do is these are set to green, meaning they're letting the power through, so we want to let the power through all the way to these AND switches. And we'll do the normal output, not the inverted regular output. Let me set that to 1. Alright. Now you'll see these are both green, so that means it will transmit power through to this timer, which we can also set to 1 arbitrarily. And so that means that it is letting the power through to the timer, so now the timer works as a possible switch. And now what we need to do is hook this up. We'll use a splitter. So we put the output of the timer into the splitter's input, and then we hook this up to the door controllers. And then what we want now is another splitter, because there will be one last output. Now depending on how many of these you have, you'll need to chain the necessary amount of these splitters. This is just the basic idea. So we put the last output from the splitter into there, and we split this. Let's do it above. To the reset ports of the memory. So what this does is it will reset these memory cells so they no longer hold the positive value, which will let this timer control the doors. So let's see what happens now. So I hit it. Now they're going up because they were closed, but then they close themselves right back. You'll notice now this AND switch is red because the memory cells have reset. Since the power goes through, that power activates and then deactivates the doors immediately, and the power also goes through this other splitter to reset these two memory cells. So now this switch won't do anything until we go back and we arm these switches. And again, you put them off in the most secure parts of your base, and switch is ready to go, so we can hit it, and then our kill switch for the doors is ready. Alright, and that's all there is to it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'm trying to work on more electric designs like this. The electricity is really useful since they fixed it in Rust. I might even work on some stuff for power generation for the new Rust system if there's any demand for it. Alright, thanks for watching.